Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening everyone, thanks for joining us. First tonight, corridor rumours, paperwork neglect and claims that management failed to act. The Commission of Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse has turned its attention back to the LGH. Again, a former chief executive required medical attention on a dramatic day where several senior health figures gave evidence.
Zoning in on the controversial history of the Launceston General Hospital. Current Executive Director Dr Peter Renshaw in the hot seat, providing evidence of the hospital's systemic failings in the James Griffin case. Renshaw claiming to have heard a corridor rumour about Griffin's inappropriate acts, but didn't take it further.
I'm not used to actually escalating things on the basis of a rumour heard in a corridor. I'm sorry.
So you didn't escalate it?
No, I had no basis to do so.
Well, you'd heard a really significant matter, hadn't you?
Obviously I'd had, yes.
Yeah. Do you understand, Dr Renshaw, the significance of this line of questioning?
I do indeed.
Well, could you please focus your attention on recalling what you can about what you knew about this corridor conversation?
I've told you all that I do know.
Although acknowledging someone within the hospital was aware of Griffin's history of child sexual abuse.
I believe that I'd fulfilled my medico-legal responsibilities in terms of the actions that I took when I was notified about. I'm not certain what actions I could have taken beyond what I did.
One of Griffin's victims, Kylie Pern, made a police complaint in 2010, which was brought to the attention of HR manager James Bellinger. He proceeded to omit Miss Pern's disclosure in any formal documents, including in the hospital's internal review.
The Pern disclosure would have remained shrouded in secrecy.
Yes.
Did somebody cover up the Pern disclosure?
No.
Claiming there was no intent to bury it.
That is a critical failure.
I accept that.
Earlier in the day, the Commission heard from former CEO Dr Stephen Eyre, with the hearing interrupted for the second time at the completion of Mr Eyre's evidence when he suffered a medical episode. Paramedics attended, repeating the outcomes of his hearing on July 1. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
The state government has been accused of pork barrelling after allocating nearly $500,000 to a community hall with links to an MP. It's led to more questions about election commitment transparency. The government says it's all a misunderstanding.
A community hub sparking hard questions. Government documents obtained by the Greens show a 2021 state election commitment for $400,000 to redevelop the Bracknell Hall. But there was no mention of it in the campaign.
Why were the Tasmanian people not told about this very significant expenditure of taxpayer funds before election day?
The local communities facility fund has already been highly criticised as lacking transparency. Many commitments weren't widely advertised, and numerous recipients have family connections to Liberal MPs, including this one.
MP for Lyons Mark Shelton and 3 members of his immediate family all sit as members on the Bracknell Public Hall Committee. Cosy.
It doesn't appear as though there was a process for members of this government to outline whether they had a conflict of interest or not.
The current Sport Minister, Nick Street, says his understanding is that it's just a misunderstanding. He's been advised it was an administrative error.
They weren't election commitments, they weren't part of the local communities facility fund. They were projects that were approved by the Premier's office subsequent to the election.
At a loss as to how nobody picked up on the mistake for 6 months, despite being consistently referred to as an election commitment.
The fact of the matter is that errors are made occasionally. There is no great conspiracy theory to any of this.
And with the money awarded outside an election period, that's something the Integrity Commission could choose to determine. So too if the money was awarded fairly, or if there was any conflict of interest. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
The Greens have passed their first bill in the lower house for 8 years, strengthening whistleblower protections. Currently, those with information regarding members of Parliament can only disclose it to the lower house Speaker or the upper house President. If the bill passes the upper house as expected, whistleblowers will be able to go to the Integrity Commission or Ombudsman. The bill was supported by the major parties. Meanwhile, the government has avoided another set of questions about an alleged hole in Hydro Tasmania's budget. Labor claims a state-owned generator is losing $50 million a month due to the Basslink service agreement being torn up. Hydro Tasmania says the figure is false, but the Premier and Energy Minister have avoided answering if there is any loss or what it may amount to. The man has died in hospital a week after he crashed his ute at Breadalbin. The 81-year-old smashed his Toyota Hilux at a roundabout last Friday and has now succumbed to his injuries. He was the only person in the vehicle. The state's road toll now stands at 42. A major change to the routine reporting of COVID infections will come into effect tomorrow. The case information is set to be provided weekly instead of its current daily format. All state and territory health ministers have collectively agreed to the move. Meanwhile, two of Tasmania's top health bosses have been acknowledged for their leadership during the peak of the COVID crisis. Catherine Morgan-Wicks and Dr Mark Veitch received their official Queen's Birthday accolades, acknowledging the hard work of their entire cohort.
They were the behind-the-scenes bureaucrats forced into the spotlight to deliver crucial advice in a time of immense angst.
Critically important that we do reach that testing rate per capita.
If you've got any symptoms that could be COVID, go and get a test. It's pretty easy.
On the other side of lockdown protocols, Catherine Morgan-Wicks and Dr Mark Veitch were officially honoured for their commitment at Government House.
Such an honour to receive the medal this afternoon, and one which I accept on behalf of thousands of people that work at health.
One of the most rewarding professional times of my life. It's been an opportunity to work with wonderful colleagues.
Both receiving public service medals while reflecting on the challenges of the past 2 years.
If anything, I felt like the luckiest health secretary in Australia to know that we're a small state, but we're nimble and we actually work really well together.
We made a lot of decisions very quickly that were intended to provide the maximum protection for Tasmania.
Tasmania Police Commissioner Darren Hine was also recognised for his efforts, with the awards symbolising a transition to living with the virus.
Great experience in understanding the importance of support for each other, recognition of that support, recognition of the enormous support that our families have given us through this as well.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Community organisations can access new funds for fuel with the extension of a state government program. Groups can access rebates for 20% of their fuel costs, allowing them to continue supporting the vulnerable.
We're certainly finding a lot of people that were using our service during the pandemic are still using it. We support ageing people in Tasmania and vulnerable people within our communities.
We deliver meals in Smithton, and we have an office there, and so costs going out to country is certainly increasing from the point of view of fuel costs.
Another round of the program will open late this year with nearly $200,000 available. Tasmanians have been encouraged to check in with family and friends and ask, "Are you okay?" for the National Day of Action today. The initiative is designed to open up conversations around mental health. A number of events hosted across the state to champion the message.
So many issues out there where people are struggling and finding it difficult to just do the basic things like put food on the table. So it's so important all the time that we're continuing to evolve and move forward and learn how we can best educate people.
Advocates are urging the community to continue the support and speak up, knowing it could change a life. A southern Tasmanian bar has received the Top Gong crowned Wine Bar of the Year at the Australian Bartender Magazine Awards. Hobart's Sunny establishment was voted the best by its peers.
I feel like over the last 3 years we've kind of grown this cult status here at Sunny with lines around the corner most evenings, and I think we do have a bit of reach on the mainland, but things like this will just grow that reach even further.
Rude Boy also named the nation's Rum Bar of the Year.
Well, the Country Tigers and the City Tigers will go head-to-head in the NTFA's top-tier decider. For Longford, the stakes are high as the town dreams of a drought-breaking premiership. No matter where you walk into, Longford shops look like mini footy clubs. How's it feel?
It feels great, yeah. I feel like I can go back and play footy again.
That's the magic touch of club president David Blair. He's convinced every piece of real estate on Main Street to get on board the Tiger train.
Definitely due for a win for sure.
33 years since our senior one, so long time between drinks.
And that has some of the club's old-timers restless.
A lot of them keep saying, oh, you've got to win one before I go, and all the rest of that. So no, it will mean a hell of a lot to a lot of people.
Rocherlee stands in their way. Tempers flared when they faced off in the semi-final, and although Rocherlee lost that day, the side boasts the league's leading goal kicker in Josh Holton.
34 years old or something like that, I think, and he's still kicking bags after bags.
While Longford has its huge support base in the bag.
A fair bit of colour in the crowd and yeah, a fair bit of noise, get behind the boys would be great.
And an emboldened old Launcestonians will take it up to Launceston in the women's decider. OL's handed the Blues their first loss in 2 years back in round 16.
That week we just came with the right energy, the right determination. We got away from them a bit and they came back, but we stuck with it.
Such a privilege playing with them and being their skipper this year, so to win it with them would be unreal.
It's a rematch of last year's grand final and part of a full day's action at UTAS on Saturday. Kingborough will go into its semi-final without Jack Tompkinson, but the Tigers will have Kieran Lovell, who played for the first time in 3 weeks against Launceston in the TSL's qualifying final.
He's got through really well, so that's good, and you know he'll probably play 100% of his normal role this weekend.
They're playing Clarence for a spot in the grand final. The Roos pushed past Lauderdale in last week's eliminator following a pep talk from Brisbane Lions triple premiership player Simon Black.
He really simplified the game for them and not to get carried away and just really live in the moment and make sure that we put your best foot forward and control what you can control.
Clarence has made one change, bringing in Harry Fisher. Tasmania has won the NAB League's best and fairest for the first time in 2 decades. Lockie Cowan collected the league's Morrish medal after a stellar season averaging 27 disposals per game. The former Devonport and North Launceston player will front for the Devils in their preliminary final against Dandenong on the weekend. The only other Tasmanian to win the Morrish medal is Luke Shackleton back in 2002. 25-year-old spin bowler Paddy Dooley is joining the Hobart Hurricanes. He's been plucked from the Brisbane Heat, where he played just one Big Bash game, ironically against the Hurricanes, when he came on as a COVID replacement player. There were now 15 names in the Cane squad. And the Jack Jumpers are in action at Elphin in their second pre-season game against the South East Melbourne Phoenix. The game's only just begun, with the Jack Jumpers up by 3. Full coverage, of course, tomorrow night, Kim.
Good evening, everyone. 19 degrees in Launceston and Devonport today, and Hobart and Burnie both 15. Across the state, Strawn, the state's top of 21 degrees, Flinders Island 19, 17 in Low Head, St Helens and Grove 16 and 14 on King Island. Cloud can be seen increasing over most areas of the state today, with sunny periods in the southwest. Further out, a large low pressure system over South Australia is directing a large frontal cloud band over most of the east of the country, with cooler low-level cloud being directed onshore from the west. Tomorrow, a low is moving to the west of Tasmania with a decaying cold front passing over the southwest of Australia. Northeasterly winds tomorrow 20 to 30 knots, tending north to northeasterly 15 to 25 knots about the west. And there is a strong wind warning tomorrow from Sandy Cape, clockwise around to southeast Cape. Showers and 19 in Hobart and Campania tomorrow, 21 in Huonville. Rain and 19 in Launceston, Devonport 17, easing showers and 18 in Georgetown. 15 degrees in Burnie tomorrow, showers easing and 19 in Strawn, Wynyard 16. And in the east, rain and 17 in St Helens, and Swansea and Port Arthur both 18. On Saturday, scattered showers most likely during the afternoon and evening. Showers on Sunday more frequent about the south, west and Bass Strait Islands. And on Monday, showers continuing in those areas with possible hail in the west and south. Possible showers in Perth tomorrow, 16 in Adelaide and Canberra, showers in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane, and 30 in Cairns and Broome. And currently Hobart, cloudy and 14 degrees, cloudy and 16 in Launceston, and Devonport, cloudy and 16. And Kim, we've had some beautiful summer days and now we've got rain ahead.
Doesn't look good. Thank you very much, Chelsea. Well, before we go tonight, wildlife cameras in the Huon Valley have captured extraordinary pictures of a platypus mating ritual. playful pair can be seen engaging in a courting dance in waters on a property at Crabtree. It's not the first time the cameras have given an insight into the behaviour of our wildlife. Earlier this year, a wombat and her baby were filmed as a joey tried and failed to stay on its feet. And that is all we have time for tonight. I'll be back later with updates, but for now, on behalf of the entire team, it's good night.